I love the mutuality of you teeing up exactly what my question was. So, and if you'll indulge me in allowing me to kind of get out my whole question here.
Maybe. It depends on how much resistance you put into the equation, and we'll help you.
Perfect. Perfect. So when we're talking about being at different levels and we don't want to move down, so I have my son and he has feelings about studying and he gets really, really worked up, like bad. I mean, it's difficult to watch. And so he really wants to be, perfect. And I'm trying to teach him that perfection isn't going to come just like that, and it may not ever come.
So stop for just a minute.
Okay.
He doesn't really want perfect. He just wants to feel good.
Yes.
And through life, he's come to believe that he will feel the best by finding vibrational equivalency with teachers who expect things and parents who expect things. What's already happened to him, and to most, is that you let your peers be your peers. You let the people around you be those that you're trying to find mutuality with, because you're not so aware of your inner being, because his inner being isn't asking him for any kind of perfection. His inner being is asking him to focus upon things that he wants and just not offer contradictory energy. So when he wants to do well and believes that he can't, now he's not finding vibrational alignment with himself. Yes.
Right. So I've tried everything that I can think of, and as I was sitting there, I thought of one more thing that I should be talking to you about, but I'm trying to...
But here's the thing. What's your thought about your son in relationship to his intellect, in his relationship to how he will be in the world? What's your thought about it?
Well, that's perfect. That's exactly what I was going to talk about, because I feel like, shouldn't I be...
Well, what is your thought?
Okay, so my thought changes. It varies. There may be times where I think, oh my God, if he's feeling this way, he's going to have a horrible...
So you're not in sync with your inner being.
That's right.
So you're watching him struggle, then you come and struggle with him, and nothing gets better. And meanwhile, both of you have all this access that neither one of you are reaching for. So understanding that, but what to do about it. So now let's apply this process that we were just talking about here. Let's take into consideration that both of you are wanting to come into vibrational alignment with your own inner beings. That's a given. You understand that you'll feel better. That's where the satisfaction is. So you just look at this person in relationship to you, this person, and think about all of the aspects of this person, your son, and think to yourself, what are his positive aspects? But we want you to hear that question in a whole new light right now. What are the aspects of my son that I could focus upon, and when I do, I will be mutual with my inner being? You hear what positive aspects really means? It means, what aspects of him do I feel positive about when I focus on him? Because his studies sure isn't one of them. So what aspects of him are a slam dunk for me staying in alignment with source? Because that's the only hope I have of being any value to him.
That's right. I understand.
So what most parents do is they look at the thing that needs the most, they go down and suffer and struggle with them, accomplish nothing, and then they just go away and have that relationship with somebody else later. Where if you could say, what are aspects of my son that when I focus upon them, I know for sure that I come into perfect vibrational equivalency with my own inner being. So I'm seeking vibrational mutuality with my inner being while I focus upon my son. Tell us.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is just his pure heart. He has a really pure heart. He's a good person.
You don't have to talk us into it. We know that. He's got a pure heart. He's easy about things. He loves easily. His first impulse is to give somebody the benefit of the doubt. He loves. He's sort of guileless in that he doesn't go looking for trouble. He doesn't stir stuff up. He doesn't try to make a big deal out of little things. He sort of keeps to his own. Now, every bit of that hooked you up with your inner being. So now you are on par or a peer with your inner being. You are mutually, you've got mutual vibrational compatibility relative to your son. And now when you hold him as your object of attention, it benefits him. So stay off the subjects that bring you to a different place. That sounds like bad parenting, doesn't it? Sounds like, shouldn't I deal with the trouble? You mean I should only focus upon the aspects of your son that allow you to stay in concert with your inner being? And once you've mastered that, then you can have conversations about anything with him, because then you won't take a dip when you're talking about it. Here are some easy words to hear. When you are really in sync with your inner being relative to anyone or anything, in this case your son, and you've practiced it so you just don't dip, now you can have all kinds of step 5 moments with him where you can focus upon the contrast of a class he's having a hard time in, but you can focus upon the contrast without your energy taking a dip. That's what step 5 is. Step 1 is ask. Contrast causes you to do that. Step 2 is source answers. Your inner being becomes what you've asked for. Ask and it is given, but it's a vibrational gift. Step 3 is you've got to get into a place where you can see it manifest into reality. You have to get into the receiving mode where you can begin to witness those thoughts turning into things. Step 4 is you're just really good at that. You're so good at it because you want to be satisfied, and because you're not willing to think thoughts, even if they're right in your face, even if it's about the person that matters most to you in the whole wide world. You're not willing to go there if the thought isn't satisfying, because you're not willing to lose the mutuality between you and your inner being to go anywhere with anyone, because you know if you do that, you've got nothing for them. So you care about satisfaction, and you practice it and you practice it and you practice it and you maintain it, and you're almost always there. And now he has a contrasting moment and you're observing it, even talking with him about it, but you're not losing your vibrational place. You're staying in concert with your inner being, with all the wisdom of your inner being that's flowing through you, all the good timing of your inner being that's flowing through you. When you're worried about someone, what it means every single time is they've convinced you to focus with them in a place that your inner being is not. That's what worry is. So let's really make this so that you can hear it. So in terms of emotions, let's just say there's one emotion we want you to reach for, and let's call it satisfaction. So there's satisfaction, or I'm worried about him. There's satisfaction, or I'm angry with him. There's satisfaction, or I'm disappointed. There's satisfaction, or I'm sad that he's disappointed. There's satisfaction. So just let it be satisfaction, and anything less than that. And of course, once you hang around in satisfaction, the momentum of that becomes so much more. Passion, ecstasy, breathless anticipation. But all you got to do is find satisfaction, which means you're not willing to deviate from what your inner being thinks about your son, not for one moment, even if your son is behaving in ways that almost every other parent on the planet would deviate and look. You're not willing to give up who you are, because you've got to maintain who you are if you're going to be of any influence to anyone else. All right, so you're getting this, aren't you? Mm-hmm. So now you're really going to hear this. If you choose to be mutual with any other human instead of your inner being, even if there are millions of them that you are choosing to be mutual with, you're still powerless in comparison to this. So many people just choose. They go to where the squeaking wheel is. They go to where the mob rule is, but they feel terrible in the process. You can see it on their faces. You can hear it in their words. You can feel it in the absence of love that's coming out of them. There's alignment or not. There's satisfaction or not. Choose. Choose. And then talk to your son.
And it's the remembering the choosing part, because you're really making a choice at that point.
Well, sometimes it feels like thoughts are choosing you, but that's always because momentum has gotten a hold. More and more, as you decide that you're going to reach for feelings of satisfaction, Esther's asking herself 200 or 300 times every day as a thought occurs. She'll ask, is this a satisfying thought? And if it is, she'll just let it roll across her mind and let it become more, and it will. But if it's not a satisfying thought, because it was prompted by something that she saw, or music that she heard, something she witnessed, something somebody else said, if it's not satisfying, now she's sort of on the case for looking for satisfaction. She is able to catch it at the very early stage when it doesn't have any momentum and it doesn't have any real power. So it's easier and easier to stay in a point of attraction of satisfaction. So like most people, when we have conversations, most people want to bring the issues that matter the most, which usually involves the people that matter the most, which are usually the subjects that have the most momentum. So it's more difficult if it has a lot of momentum to choose satisfaction, because it has a lot of momentum. There have been so many conversations that have come before, and so many things that you've witnessed, which you described in your opening words to us here. You said, I really want to get this whole thing out. Well, we didn't want you to get the whole thing out, because we didn't see any point in you getting the momentum going in such a direction that we couldn't overcome it with conversations, you see. And that's the thing. If I could just explain, I just need you to understand why I'm where I'm at. Please don't explain why you're there, because it just holds you there longer. In other words, reach for thoughts of satisfaction, even if you have to change the subject altogether.
I think part of what I wanted to express is it that I'm not doing enough pre-paving in advance of this interaction. If I know...
That's always true. That's always true. But this will eventually change that. If in this moment I'm looking for a satisfying thought, that's the most I can do right now. I can't go back into the past and pre-pave in time that I don't have in front of me anymore. So is beating up on myself satisfying or discouraging? It's discouraging, so cut it out. The most you can do is right now reach for a satisfying thought. Satisfying thoughts. I have a brilliant son. Satisfying thoughts. Oh, his life is out ahead of him and it's going to be so fantastic. Satisfying thoughts. This kid loves life. Satisfying thoughts. There are hundreds of satisfying thoughts that we could spew. And when you practice them a little bit, you can too.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.